Welcome to medspa Secrets. I'm Ben Chu.
And I'm Jen Bullock.
And today we are going to talk to you guys all about running events in your med spa. Is it worth it and how to do it? But before we get there, if you've been watching our channel, listening to this podcast, could you do us a really big favor? And if you've got some value from this, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, give us a 5-star if you're on Spotify or iTunes or any of those things. It would really, really help us grow the channel and help spread all of these med spa secrets out there to new med spa owners or people looking to get into the game. So on to today's topic, events.
Events.
Yeah. So Jen, why have an event? Why hold a physical event? You're busy seeing patients all the time and doing the day-to-day. Why are you going to add a whole nother thing on top of seeing patients and doing treatments?
Well, first, I think it's really, really fun to get out and connect with the community. It's an opportunity to get together with your patients or prospective patients in a more relaxed environment. A lot of times when you're in the clinic setting, there's a lot of we're focused on the treatments and the treatment plans. It allows people an opportunity to really just ask questions in a relaxed environment. They're bringing friends with them. They get to see us all dressed up. It's just a really neat way to communicate and connect with the community.
Yeah, I think it's super cool too. We've been holding events at Illume for 6 years now, roughly-ish.
Yeah.
About 6 years. And it's interesting to see, it's a totally different dynamic when you hold an event versus when patients are just coming in for treatments and consults. And seeing the community develop between different patients who are maybe both talking about how they've had the same procedure and how much they love it, or maybe one person has had one procedure and somebody else is thinking about getting it. And they just talk them all up and down about how amazing it was for them. And then somebody's like, okay, yeah, I'm totally going to do that too. That's super cool. So it's fun to see the community build around the business and between different patients. There's another key thing that I really love about events though, and that's the revenue. Very rarely in a single day do you make tens of thousands of dollars or 6 figures in a single day of just seeing patients. And that's something that happens basically every time we have an event. So they're great sort of bumps in your revenue for the quarter or the month or annually or however you plan to run your event structures. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the other kind of cool thing too is that you usually get a good spike in reviews when you hold events, at least if you ask for them at the event, because everybody's hanging out. They're enjoying that community atmosphere. They're feeling super gracious. So they're like, oh yeah, I'm having a great time. Of course, I'm going to give you a great review right now.
Yep. And we do some really fun things to drive reviews at events, and people are having a good time. They're connecting with you on a personal level. And so they really are inspired and motivated to want to do it at that time. The other cool thing is that you can use your events for education opportunities. We've done all kinds of events over the time. We've done just patient appreciation events. We've done things that were events that were targeted towards a specific procedure. We've done stuff that was really just all celebration for a holiday. I mean, we've done all kinds of things. And so there's wonderful ways that you could do it, but really focusing on a key set of either a procedure that is really new and exciting, or focusing on a new program that you're rolling out. Those are the types of things that you can really engage with patients and create a really cool opportunity for them to take advantage of a special and really just provide a lot of value.
Yeah, I think the education part is definitely a big thing at events, because I think sometimes when you're in the treatment room, especially maybe in a consult rather than doing a treatment and then kind of educating while you're doing it, it can kind of come off maybe a little more salesy than you might like in a consult. But when you're at an event, even though you do want to make sales at the event, since it's such a different environment, it really doesn't come off as salesy at all, even though you can be educating them towards a sale.
Exactly.
So like you mentioned having events about specific holidays, having events about specific procedures and whatnot. So I think that's a really great segue into like how often and when should these events be happening? Are they happening at holidays? Are they happening just every time there's a new procedure? Are they happening every month? When and how often should people be running their events? And what should the cycle look like?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, first of all, how much bandwidth do you have as an organization, and how often will your people want to come to do something like that? For us, I think we've done things that were targeted towards a new launch of a device that we bought, and those always get really big pull because I'm excited about it. The patients are excited about it. What we really have done over the last 2 years, though, is we have done more quarterly events, right? And so oftentimes, if you're doing a quarterly event, it could be targeted around spring. It could be targeted around laser season. We always host a big soiree around Christmas, and we just throw all out. It's amazing. We've got music. We've got Santa. We've got gifts. It's really, really easy if you're doing it around a seasonal or a holiday type theme to have all kinds of fun ideas, and people are excited. And I think especially now, people are looking for things to go to, and there's still not a lot of opportunities to socialize.
Kind of the post-COVID sort of, people are still getting back in the swing of being with people, even now in 2023.
Yeah.
So people are hungry for parties, right? And a lot of our events get thrown like a party. And you think about as adults, you don't often get invited to a party very frequently. When we were kids, it was always somebody's birthday party every month if you had a good sized group of friends. And there were graduation parties and summer break parties or high school parties when you were in high school, the ones you didn't want your parents knowing you were going to. But there was always a party or a gathering to go to when you're younger. And as adults, we really kind of lose that. So I think that really structuring your events as party, aesthetic party, really draws in people, and they have a lot more fun than they would even realize that they were going to have.
Yeah.
So where then should you be having these aesthetic parties or events? And I think that really kind of depends on, again, the bandwidth of your organization, the size of your med spa. At Illume, we've gone through a progression of when you first started doing events, they were all here or at the different other locations where Illume was before the current location. They were all in spa.
Yeah. And we would have anywhere from 25 to 50 people come through. And it was just this big, it wasn't really organized. It was like a time frame, and the place was packed to the gills. And it was so much fun because people got to be in the space and in the environment and talking to us, but it was crazy and chaotic, and we quickly outgrew that.
It got a little tight. You couldn't necessarily easily walk through the hallway because there'd be so many people. And I'm sure that if we kept growing in that fashion, we'd probably be hearing from the fire marshal at some point. So eventually we moved to hosting them in venues outside of Illume itself. And honestly, I thought that actually made them even easier to do because somebody else is doing so much of the setup. Somebody else is doing basically all 95 to 99% of the cleanup.
Yes.
And it's actually it's surprisingly not that expensive.
I was really caught off guard. We have a little place here. It's a little hotel. It is kind of on the outskirts of town. It's funky and it's super cool. And they have this space that is set aside. It's called the Stardust Lounge. And it's this cool retro looking bar. It's beautiful. There's a fireplace in there. So there are some really neat spaces that I think that when we rent that, it's maybe the room rental is $350 or something.
It's cheap. I mean, and they definitely make money because if you're going with the venue, you're probably going to also want to use them for their catering services and for bar services and stuff like that. Whereas before, when we hosted ourselves as the venue, we had to bring in caterers. We had to bring in a bartender to serve wine, beer, and champagne and soft drinks and stuff like that. And there's really no wrong way to do it. I think it's kind of a matter of scale. When you're just starting out, and you don't even want to spend, or maybe don't even have the extra cash to spend on a venue, like just host your event at your med spa. Your patients are still going to love it. You're still going to get similar outcomes. But when you have a little bit bigger of a patient population and you're starting to make some revenue, I would encourage switching to a hosted venue probably sooner rather than later, because it just reduces so much of the workload on you and your team.
Yeah. And then when you're done, you just gonna pack up and you
leave.
You're gonna leave.
It's amazing.
It is.
But that kind of is another good segue into, because we already talked now, we said about catering and food and stuff, like what really should the structure of an event look like? And we've kind of done it all ways. So I think you can speak to the different structures of like, should it cost patients money to go to the event, or should they just be able to show up for free? Should you be feeding them? Should you be providing drinks? Should there be entertainment? All of those kind of things that you might think would also kind of go with a party.
Well, we've always had music going, whether it's in the background. We've always provided food. I think that by creating a space where you appear very generous and where you're whining and dining them, you're creating an experience for them to come and feel like they're special, right? I do believe that is it the law of reciprocity?
Yes, it is reciprocity.
So like by gifting something in addition, they are more willing to want to spend their money with you. So we've always had food and it's always been beautiful. But what I did notice is that when we started catering and we were like catering by the person, the very first event that we did at the hotel, we had 100 RSVPs or something along those lines. And so we planned for all of this food. Now, regardless if somebody shows or doesn't show, you pay for the catered food. And so not only that, but we planned for how many bags we're going to make and all of the things. And so it was really disappointing to pay for 100 plates of $25 a piece or whatever it was at the time and have 50 people or 70 people show. That's a lot of money. And so what we started to do is we started charging a fee for the ticket.
Event tickets.
And that ticket came with an extra entry to our giveaways, and we have incredible giveaways. But it wasn't enough to even cover the cost of the food or what we were doing, but it had the ability to create a space where they were like putting a little skin in the game, right? And even though it's only $10 or $15, our show rates really skyrocketed. So it was like because they had spent money, they valued the ticket higher. And it's not like at first I was like, oh, is anybody going to come? Are they going to want to spend money? We should be giving it away. And it's totally the opposite. It created more value in the event. And also, a lot of people were so worried about the tickets selling out. They were on them, right?
Urgency.
Totally. So for us, having the paid tickets in the situation where we're doing catering that were like paid per person has really, really made sense. But
yeah. And again, I think it kind of depends on where you are in the evolution of your med spa. Like if you're a small operation and you're just hosting yourself and the expenses for putting on the event aren't really that high, and you don't even really have like the room or capacity for a whole lot of people to show up, it might not really matter that much whether you do paid or free. But if you're starting to have larger events and say like 5 to 15% of people not coming is actually like a whole lot of people, and do you really want to like pump up that show rate and pump up the value and also cover your costs a little bit for hosting the event, I think having a nominal ticket, $10, $15, whatever, just enough to where someone is like made a commitment to actually coming really is very helpful to putting on the event. So one other thing I want to touch on too is like the entertainment. I think playing music is great, but we also discovered that once you start having some scale and you're having like 100 people or so come and you're in a venue and you're already getting food and stuff like that, you can add a little bit of extra like spectacle to the event by bringing in live entertainment. And it's really not super expensive. You might pay $400, $500 or something like that to bring in a live band for the evening or a live musician. We've had like when we've done our Mother's Day brunch, we bring in a harpist with a big old harp to play like heavenly harp while all the ladies are sipping mimosas and eating tasty frittatas and stuff. And people would like look around and be like, oh man, this is a really amazing like soundtrack you guys have. Like, oh my God, there's a harpist over there. And it would just bring so much surprise and delight and extra joy to the event that bringing in entertainers can be a super cool thing too. But let's kind of touch now on, like, you've got them there, you're wining and dining them, you're entertaining them, everything's great. Like, how are you actually going to make a little bit of money, make that revenue that we talked about early? Like, how are you going to put out your offers or structure your offers? And again, we've done it every which way, so we can kind of speak to a handful of different ways of doing it. What would you say your favorite format is for putting an offer out?
Well, I think that the most fun way to do it for me is to do like some kind of a product or like an education thing. So I love to teach. It's kind of the foundation of what we do in the practice. And so what we'll put together is usually I will do a presentation on one big thing. Right. And there may be other things that people can purchase at the event. But I will, like, for example, the last event that we did, we were talking about our semaglutide weight loss program. So I did a little 20 to 30 minute presentation. It was designed to take them through the whole sales process, but it was really like just everything wonderful, all about this exciting new opportunity. And then an offer for them to purchase and take part in this weight loss program at the end. And it's incredible because not only do I pre-qualify them by educating them about who's a good candidate, who isn't a good candidate, I'm saving myself so much time and energy in these one-off consultations where I have to explain everything. I also am just taking them down the pathway where they're excited about it. They know it's for them. And then like at the end of it, like there's a table rush, right?
Totally.
All of
People
the girls
run into the back of the room. Everyone's trying to buy the thing all at the same time.
Yes, it's really fun. It's super awesome. And then they have the opportunity to come up and ask me questions and all of that kind of stuff. And we're able to do these little mini consults, essentially. A lot of times I'll have a group of like 3 or 4 women that come up. And so they all have similar questions and answers. And then I almost always have like 3 to 4 like patients who have already done the procedure. They are huge fans. They already know they love it. And they start just talking. They're all at the tables and they're telling the girls about their experience. They are, I would say.
They're like sales reps.
They are, but they're legitimate. They're there because they're passionate. They already know they love it. And they're like little missionaries almost where they're going out and they're sharing their experience. And then you see at least another 20 to 25% of the patients that are kind of on the fence come up and start straggling in. It's so exciting to be able to do $40,000 or $50,000 in just a few hours. So for me, that's really, really fun. The other thing that I like, and it's fun because it's just kind of it's something that we build up to once a year. So we do our big Christmas soiree and it's fancy and the girls look forward to it all year long. We do a 12 days of Christmas and every day we drop a new special. But what we do is at our Christmas event, we usually host it the first week of December or the first Saturday of December. And what we find is that the girls know that the 12 days of Christmas is coming, right? And we create a little scarcity because there's only so many of each offer or whatever. And if they come to the event, they get access to all 12 days of Christmas up front. Plus, we have incredible like giveaways. We've got the gift with purchase we put together really beautiful gift with purchase bags that's full of amazing stuff. And it's usually several $100s worth of stuff. And to get it, they have to do the gift with purchase. Make a purchase. We also do a giveaway for like a Louis Vuitton bag. And so it's just the event that everybody looks forward to. We put together, it's our 12 days of Christmas. So we're not recreating the wheel, but they can come in and they can just purchase and buy. And then
which really, technically, like if you want to talk about like sales terminology, like before we have the pitching from stage variant, which is like making an offer from stage, taking them through this whole process. And then The 12 Days of Christmas really represents like a menu type offer where you're throwing a whole bunch of specials in front of them that they can pick and choose from and fill out in a menu close type option.
Right.
And then there's one other. So we've got our pitch from stage. We've got the more passive kind of menu option where people can kind of pick and choose what they want. And that's actually what I would recommend for providers that don't feel comfortable pitching from stage yet. While you're still kind of working on your public speaking, you might be more comfortable doing a menu close. And we've had great results with the menus as well. It's not uncommon to do $40,000 to $60,000 off of a menu without having to pitch. But there's one other way where, like, let's say maybe you're not super comfortable pitching from stage yet. You don't really know how to put together a menu of specials yet. Well, you've got people in your corner, believe it or not, that will come and do a pitch for you at your event. And those are your reps from different manufacturers, whether it's Candela or Allergan or whoever. They're going to be more than happy to come and educate your patients about their products or their devices in your practice.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw this was 2018 when we purchased the Profound
Yes.
from Candela. And we were still kind of putting together our event muscles. We had run like a whole lot. We only started in 2017. So 2018 was our second year. And the reps from Candela actually came and educated all of our patients at the event about the Profound from Candela and then helped us close them. And I think we did probably 40 grand at that event without having to pitch ourselves or without having to even put out a menu ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another great option. But I want to get back to what you talked about like the gift with purchase and prizes and stuff like that. We kind of covered the format of pitching. What sort of things are like easy for people to do that really excite the patients when they're coming to events? Because you don't necessarily have to give away hundreds of dollars of swag and stuff with each purchase. People are totally fine with a really nice like bath bomb and a smelly candle and a couple other things. I think what really excites them more is maybe like the idea of gift bags and the idea of door prizes and raffles and stuff. Can you maybe speak a little, because like it doesn't need to necessarily be a Louis Vuitton if your squad can't afford a Louis Vuitton yet.
No, it was years before we were able to like give away a Louis Vuitton. But like year one, our very first event, I partnered with a local artisan that made bath bombs. And we just had these cute little single things that we put our sticker on it. And I think in all, it cost us maybe $75, right? People just love to get something though. It makes them feel special. It's exciting. Over the years, our gift bags have gotten a lot more elaborate. But the other thing is that this is the space where you can utilize your reps. A lot of our giveaways, a lot of our prizes are coming directly from our reps, right? Whoever it is that you have the best partnership with, those are the people you need to be reaching out to. Your skincare provider. So whether you're using Skin Better or Lyra or Skin Medica or whatever it is, your rep should be able to get you samples, should be able to give you like a skincare set that you can raffle off or whatever. My Allergan rep gives us things that we're allowed to do for like filler or Botox, or we currently will give away a facial or something that has like a small, I mean, if you are just starting out and you don't have like really great established relationships, do something small, something that has a small cost for you.
A lot of value for the person receiving it is the thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So then how should, next kind of question is, how should your team, the people at the event with you, employees, those guys, how should they be helping at the event?
Well, for us, we all start out by making sure that we are coordinated in our outfit. So that we're like in a theme, right? And it may not sound important, but to us, it is important. It helps create just a little bit of like cohesion, and it's fun for us to plan, and it creates a little bit of community with my girls and I. The other thing that we do is we all have our jobs, right? So we decide who's doing what so that everything is evenly and smoothly rolled out. I'm always going to be super busy and I'm not going to be able to coordinate all the details. Patients are going to be all over me. I talk nonstop. I end up losing my voice. I mean, it's a lot for the provider. So making sure that you have somebody who's in charge of reviews. If you have some kind of a process where people are able to enter in for an extra prize or whatever if they leave a 5-star review, have a staff member that's designated to help those people do that. It's amazing how many people don't know how to leave a review. So being able to have a staff member that's targeted just for that. Having a staff member who is specifically in charge of helping patients process the payments.
Check out.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, right? And if you have a lot of people trying to check out at the same time, having more than one staff member that can pop over and be able to do that.
Check in as well.
Exactly. If you have RSVPs, then having somebody that's actually making sure that the people have tickets is really important.
Another thing, too, that the check-in person can help with is they can provide extra levels of status and exclusivity for different people, too. Example, our check-in person, the person that is up at the door reading the guest list and checking people in, well, they're going to check people in, obviously, but if someone is a member of one of our higher level memberships, too, they're going to make sure that those people are getting like a VIP bracelet or extra gifts and stuff that show the extra status and importance of those members. And they really love that extra touch,
They
right?
do.
And I guess, like, how do we get people to actually come to these events? We kind of know how to do them. Talked a little bit about putting offers out, prizes, whether you're going to host at different venues and whatnot, but like, how do you even get anybody to come?
Well, we do a lot of things to get people to come to ours, but the most important thing is you got to tell people you're doing it.
Yep.
So we send out emails, right? We send out text blasts. We send out, we create a Facebook event page or a link on Instagram. We've done some paid advertising when we're doing community open stuff. We do some things that are just like targeted for our group.
Members only.
Yeah, we do some members only events, but then we also will run some social media stuff. The more you talk about it, the more people are going to be excited about it. In office, the weeks leading up to it, I'm asking my patients, hey, are you coming to our event? Most of them, even though they've gotten the email, even though they've gotten the text, even though they follow us on social media, they still haven't really processed that it's coming, right? Even sometimes the patients that have already bought tickets, they've forgotten exactly when it is.
Totally.
So every single patient that's coming in, we have a little sign that's up at checkout on each one of our checkout windows, and we're talking about it all the time. The more you talk about it, the more excited the patients get about it. And even the people that were kind of on the fence, they're like, oh my gosh, of course. We're talking about the fact that the tickets are almost sold out. We're doing Facebook streams. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff. The other thing that we do is sometimes we'll send out mailers and actual invitations. There's nothing.
That's fancy.
There is nothing fancier than getting a legitimate invitation in the mail. Right. So it feels special. I mean, most of us don't even get mail anymore. Nothing that's
just junk mail
and things like that.
Bills.
So lots of bills. So being able to send somebody like a really fancy invitation is a really nice way to get some of your like bigger spenders
absolutely
to show up. Right.
Yeah, and that's something I would recommend more for, like, if you have a membership program and you want to do like an exclusive members only event or something like that, send them a fancy card. Maybe even really baller, put like a wax seal on it or something. Like, people just so rarely in life these days do people get to experience like special things that you get a lot of mileage out of those kind of little touch points.
Yes.
So we've got people coming to the event now. We've kind of got some ideas about like how it should all be structured and how it should go down and stuff. Like, do events ever actually go down like how you plan, though?
Rarely. I mean, you just have to I feel like you have to just kind of go with the flow. There's always going to be something that you've forgotten. There's always going to be some sort of an unplanned something. I mean, just our last event, we held it at the hotel that we always hold it at. And there were several other events that were happening. I had planned to give this big presentation. I was doing one of the sales event type things where I was like giving an education spiel and then making an offer. There wasn't any AV equipment set up. And so, of course, I'm like fully on panicking, and there wasn't any to be had in the hotel. So, I mean, little details like that could totally throw you out of your zone. And so being able to just plan and know that sometimes things happen and you have to wing it and just be prepared and have fun with it, right? None of it's really that big of a deal. We were still
True.
able to give the presentation. It still was great. So there's always going to be something.
Yeah. So plan for it to not go according to plan and like be okay with that and realize that like you and your team will figure it out and you'll make it work as long as you have like a positive attitude and everybody's working towards success. You'll find a way. But there are a couple things you can do to make it as easy as possible, even though you are going to get thrown for some loops. And it can be things from like the hotel maybe having run out of AV equipment to maybe a crazy new patient that you don't even know that well comes and throws like a huge scene at the party. We've actually had that happen before. I actually paid a lady to go away once.
Yeah.
But things you can do to help mitigate the random crazy things that can happen. I can think of two primary things.
Okay.
And one is having an event checklist.
Yeah.
To make sure that you have a list of all the things that you want to have already planned and knocked off, checked off before the event. And the other thing is having an event box, either a large tote box or a Foot Locker type thing, but somewhere where you have most of your event things that you need already stashed away and set aside for the next event.
It's just a grab and go. Everything's there. And it really does help simplify things, for sure. What's in the event box? Well, for us, it's like we actually have our pens, we have all of our bracelets, we have we have extra name tags, we have
attendance bracelets.
Yes.
Right. Like
we have like little slips for entering into giveaways. We've got just all kinds of things. We have our projector in there because oftentimes if you show up and there isn't one, you can project off of the wall. I mean, you can do all kinds of things, but there's all the things that we need already there and we just pick it up and we go. And it makes it easy to clean up too, because you just throw the stuff that's yours in there.
And then you're out.
And you're out.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you got a lot of value out of that. I hope that if you haven't run any events in your med spa or when you open up your med spa, that you're now stoked on doing some events and realize how valuable they can be to your business and to your patients. And I want to hear about them. So tell me in the comments, tell us in the comments, like, are you going to throw an event or do you already throw events, but now you're going to try some like new and interesting different ways of doing it? Let us know. Also, remember to give us that thumbs up, give us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, guys.
We'll see you later.